Food should be pretty straightforward. It grows, we eat, digest, excrete, and any nutrients our bodies don't use go back into the soil. And so the cycle begins all over again. Simple. So why then is our global food system so topsy-turvy? It emits greenhouse gases and fuels climate change, degrades land, pollutes soil and water, and wipes out wildlife, including insects and other animals that pollinate our crops. So it's actually robbing us of our ability to feed ourselves. And at the same time, we're wasting what we've got. A whopping 1.3 billion tons of perfectly edible food gets binned each year, while nearly 700 million people go hungry. So it's a real conundrum, but there are simple fixes. Basically, produce food sustainably and don't waste it. And markets like this one here in Qatar, which sell local and organic produce, are signs that these ideas are catching on. In this programme, we'll meet the Kenyan smallholders who are working with soil scientists to produce more and restore degraded land.
For the last decade, Kenya has been dealing with droughts and erratic weather patterns that have damaged the land's productivity and threatened food security. I am a farmer and I know how difficult it is to work with the changing climate. I have a small farm outside Nairobi where I raise livestock and grow food crops. 2 years ago, because of a harsh drought, my soil dried out and I lost all my harvest. Having worked the land, I know how vital healthy soil is. Without it, the farm fails. But I've heard about a team of scientists who are working together with farmers to make degraded lands fertile once more. One of the things they do is to test soil. Intensive agriculture and other damaging practices, along with the effects of climate change, have left 1/3 of the planet's land degraded. The situation is so severe that 30 football pitches of soil are lost every minute. The International Center for Research in Agroforestry, also known as ICRAF, is a leading authority on land management and restoration. I've come to its headquarters in Nairobi to meet head soil scientist Lee Winowiki. Hey, Dr. Lee.
Hi, Caleb.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've heard so much about the good work your team is doing here at ICRAF. Let me ask a very simple question. What is soil?
Soil is the biologically active layer of the earth. It is a mixture of minerals, organic matter, and organisms that together support life. 95% of our food is produced in soil. Soil acts as a filter and regulates the water cycle and has the potential to store large amounts of carbon, contributing to climate change mitigation.
It's simple. Without healthy soil, we can't survive. This only makes the work being done here even more important. I brought a sample of my soil for you to look at. This is from a trouble sample of my farm. Could you look at it and tell me what's wrong with it? My soil will be prepped and sent for analysis. In the meantime, Lee wants to show me the soil library, which houses over 100,000 soil samples from around the world.
Every single soil sample represents a farmer's field. Every sample comes with a barcode. When we scan this, we get all the information of the GPS coordinates, the soil data, the status of the health of the soil. All of these samples are collected with farmers. We have a very important engagement with farmers to understand their local knowledge about soil ecosystems.
Nutrient levels are key to soil fertility. The team here have an efficient way of measuring them.
This is a machine that we use to analyze soil sample, just to look at different nutrient levels in the soil using light, just light.
No chemicals?
No chemicals. We place the sample on top of the infrared light coming from the instrument. You get a soil fingerprint that tells you the levels of different nutrients. From that, you can use that data and knowledge to know what to do with your farm.
Measuring a sample using this machine takes only a few minutes. Once the results are ready, they will be deciphered by Lee. In the meantime, my next stop is a living soils lab, where my soil is being analyzed for another component vital for its health: creepy crawlies.
It looks okay, but the organisms are not there. And the organisms play a role in binding that soil to form firm and compact soil, which can absorb nutrients, which can keep the soil stable, and which, if it rains, it cannot be eroded. They also make the soil fertile in that they eat organic matter and then pass through their intestines, and then it is released into the soil. I have another soil which has come from the neighboring county, one of the farmers.
I see a bag.
Yes. This one has some bugs. This is an earthworm.
How come mine doesn't have?
You've over-cultivated your land.
Yes, I have.
You use a lot of fertilizers, which may make the soil to be very acidic. And when the soil is acidic, earthworms will move away. They will look for better places which the soils are good.
From macroorganisms we can see to the bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms we can't, the ground under our feet is teeming with life. In fact, there are more organisms in 1 tablespoon of healthy soil than there are humans on Earth. But that is just one aspect of the soil ecosystem. Water, air, nutrients and minerals like nitrogen and potassium are all part of the rich mix that enables soil to support life, together with organic carbon, which is found largely in decomposing plant and animal matter. It's a fine balance and one that is easily destroyed by unsustainable land management practices, such as the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and intensive plowing. My results are ready, so I meet up with Lee again.
We like to use soil organic carbon as a key indicator of soil health. So your soil has about 2% carbon.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
We like to encourage farmers to have more than 0.5%. So you're well above that threshold. Another key nutrient is nitrogen. So your nitrogen is within the normal range for agricultural soil.
I'm relieved that, even without organisms like worms, my soil is relatively healthy, but I'm from an area of Kenya which usually receives rain. Lee wants to show me soil from a farmer living in a harsher region.
Urbanos is a farmer we've been working with in eastern Kenya. We have some samples where Urbanos has been applying agricultural restoration options on his farm. After 2 years, Urbanos has doubled the soil organic carbon in his farm. We are able to learn how these restoration options influence soil health, but also by Urbanos working with eCraft, we're able to feed back this information through one-on-one conversations, focus groups discussions, to really show how his soil is improving through his management practices.
I want to find out more about regenerative techniques, and so I'm off to visit Urbanos. We are driving through eastern Kenya, and as you can see, it's way drier than it is in the highlands where I farm. I'm looking forward to learn from Urbanos how he's been able to make his land more productive despite farming in a semi-arid region. Good morning, Urbanos.
Yes, morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Who is this
welcome.
with you?
This is my wife.
All right.
Anastasia.
Anastasia, pleasure
Yeah.
to meet you.
Welcome.
What are you doing? It looks like you're digging up a latrine or something.
This is a basin. Actually, the purpose of the basin is to collect water during the rain season, because in our area it will rains just heavily for a short period.
So, Urbanos, can I give it a try?
Yes, you can.
Water harvesting techniques like this are useful in drought-prone regions. Urbanos wants to show me some of the other sustainable methods he's been trialing on his farm.
Yes. This is where we are doing intercropping. You can see the spinach.
Yes.
We have kales.
Okay.
Also, we have a pumpkin. As you can see here, our area is very dry, so we are planting it as a cover crop. Will help us in reducing the rate of evaporation, so our soil would get dry so easily. This is a pawpaw, so big.
Wow.
They look nice.
How does it make you feel when you see your children eating the lovely pawpaws?
I feel good, I feel very proud, and I feel very good when I'm not buying them from the market. They are in my farm.
3 years back, my land was like this.
Like this?
Yeah, it was exactly like this, even more worse. But now, as you can see, after practicing these technologies, that is water harvesting, agroforestry, mulching, using manure.
Yes.
Now my land from those years is looking better. As you can see, it's more green.
It's like a little Garden of Eden.
Exactly.
More than 2,500 farmers in eastern Kenya are working with ICRAF, sending soil samples, trialing techniques, and sharing their successes and failures. Urbanus is a community facilitator. Farmers from around the county come to learn from him about methods that could help them. His farm shows how restorative practices can heal the land. Not only is his crop yield up by more than 70%, but with its increased carbon content, his soil is helping in the fight against climate change. As farmers in Kenya, we are definitely dealing with a difficult period, but there is hope in building a resilient earth. We are at a tipping point, but if we can restore our soils and these interventions are scaled up, we have a fighting chance.
Food represents so much more than a plate full of protein or a fork full of pleasure. It's about everything that goes into it. So the soil, the water, the fuel to transport it to market, the electricity to cool it down, the labour to produce it, often, as we've seen, in really tough conditions. So waste food, and all that goes to waste too. The natural world works in cycles, and we, of course, are part of it. And our survival is not just about reaping what we sow, but about using nature's resources wisely and giving back wherever we can. So really, it's about respect for the earth, for everything that we eat, and for the people who keep our food cycle going.